says. Cow says. Here is a duck.
That's gonna be my 4. How about you guys? Only hear you guys 4.
Man.
All right, mine is definitely Bobby Heenan, number one, because he would take a bump. It's one of those things, like you said, if you do get a hold of him, it's special.
Yes.
And he would sling all over the place for you. Jim Cornette, because he was just a great talker, had the tennis racket, interfere, hit people when the ref's not looking, distract the ref. Just totally a third man, to the team. J.J. Dillon, just because he was a great talker.
I knew you'd say that one.
And you got Four Horsemen's my all-time favorite group.
Right.
Ric Flair's all-time favorite wrestler all around. All 4 guys are great talkers on their own. Tully, Marn, Ole, Rick. But still, J.J. Dillon could still get his stuff in there, and it's like, just sew it all together, just wrap it up. That's 3. We talked about Paul Ellering a little earlier.
Yeah.
He's just very laid back, not very involved, but kind of the coach kind of perspective, like a sport coach, basketball coach with his paper rolled up, and just a great talker. Pocket Animal could talk, and he could talk as well, just kind of had the calm kind of a feel to it. So that's probably my top 4.
Yeah. Heenan and Cornette.
Yeah.
That's a given for me. Another different Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
We got to go with Paul
Heyman.
Heyman on the Mikey's Gold.
He's
We
best
said
talker in the
we'll be
business.
texting each other. We're both watching. Are you watching Heyman right
Yeah,
now?
right.
And for the
Not
4th,
Heyman.
fourth,
so mad about that.
I gotta say somebody that I would say was, with apologies to Darius Lockhart, was a revolutionary. China.
Ooh.
China comes out, this strong female, cheats to help Triple H, and she really kind of changed the game.
No, yeah, she really. And what was so cool about China, and I was always like watching like early Triple H China stuff, because like she was Triple H's muscle, and that was so brilliant.
And here's the interesting thing about her: you can talk to anybody, you can make it happen, face heel.
Right.
What did China ever say?
She didn't say a word.
She didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
That's brilliant.
That presence she had.
Yeah.
So I think.
Oh, that is a great one. And I always love people talking about Paul Heyman, because he taught me, like watching him as a manager, one of the big things is you need to learn when to appear and when to disappear, because that's very important in a wrestling match, because a lot of managers like, oh, well, I'm just supposed to be there to get the crowd mad at me. No. You're supposed to be there to get the crowd mad at who is in the ring, or get the crowd behind who's in the ring.
Right.
So be there at those moments, but also disappear at the big moments, because the big moments aren't about you. The big moments are about what's going on in the ring. Best example, F5, Undertaker, 1, 2, 3. Where's Paul Heyman? He was in that corner on his knees, almost completely disappeared. But the moment 1, 2, 3, oh my God, then it was like, Paul Heyman, here's my time to do that. Oh my God, and it's like, he's so good at that time. And being a manager is a lot more than just, running out there and doing things. It's about the timing and then knowing when you need to be up here or when you need to be there, because it's not, you want to be there to enhance, not take away. And I've seen a lot of people, either on one side of the spectrum, just to a point where I was like, oh, I thought that was a fan, that was the manager, and like, that happens. And then there's other points where it's like, did you even like hear what's going on in the match? Like, you don't even watch the match because the managers are all over the place. When you got your guys down, that's when you come into it. That's when you guys are down on the ground, come on. Or, if you're the creator, when frickin' Billy Brash has got his frickin' fingers in dude's nostril trying to rip his face off, and it's shown it to the crowd, now you're looking at us. And then, you don't want to, exactly. And there's so many important things that I feel like still, like me, I learn on a daily basis, and it's learning, not just how to talk, but how to react and your timing because you need to pay attention to that match, and you need to pay attention to where to get that crowd at, and where they need to be at all times.
Yeah, where's the focus at, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Definitely.
So I've seen a lot with Coach Mikey. I've seen a lot of duct tape incorporated into the clipboard, into the call, and so I've seen some of your social media stuff, some pictures of the past, some of your work with the duct tape, like the Mankind mask.
Oh yeah.
So what are some of your best, your proudest duct tape creations that you've made?
Oh, 100% that Mankind mask, because I've been trying to do the Mankind thing for a while for Halloween, and because I felt like I had the body frame for it, and it was so easy to get everything that Mankind had: the white shirt, the tie, the sweatpants, the sock, the wig. There was one thing that was going to be hell. It was that mask, and it was the biggest part of the whole thing. So I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I literally bought brown duct tape and taped it around my head, measured my head, and then put tape on the inside and just kind of like looked at the picture. Okay, I gotta put some here. Look at the picture, and then taped it on the inside. But then I forgot one thing. I was like, how the hell am I gonna get it on my head? So I literally, I cut the back of it off. So I cut the back of it, and then I stitched a shoelace through the back, almost like a lucha mask. But it had a thing in the back, and then what I did is I took there were these like little stick-on silver studs, and I just put them in the same places that the leather mask had. And it's funny because the bridge of the nose was the only part that wasn't duct tape. It was actually a playing card folded in half to create the bridge part on the nose.
That was creative.
And it was so frustrating to make that mask, but when it finally came together, I was really proud of it. I made my shredder costume. The shredder helmet was really hard to make too. It was actually literally a hat with the bill cut off, and I duct taped cardboard onto it until it kind of sat, because it was so difficult to have it sit on your head and not look like, remember like Spaceballs, like the Darth Vader, without not looking like it was this giant thing.
Not proportionate at all.
Yeah, and it was difficult to make the face mask thing, because it's like, how do I make that? And so I literally took one of those like construction like Sanders mask, the little cup over your face like that, and I just duct taped onto that. And it's all about like creating a base and just taping around that until it. So I guess I've always had a thing for duct tape. It fixes everything. So
So we're 5 months away from Halloween. You said this for Halloween. Any ideas what might be coming this year? Any duct tape creations?
I had. So there's been a couple of them that I've wanted to do. I've wanted to do a Wreck-It Ralph, but I don't want to shave, so there's that.
That's a problem.
We're with you on that.
It's so like once you start growing it, you're like, what person has a beard that I can, it's like, I thought about doing Sully from Monsters Inc. But then I was like, I'm gonna be hot and sweaty in that. So like, I definitely have to think about maybe one thing that I can do with the duct tape. There's one wrestler that I could possibly do that has duct tape. I won't give it away, but I'll do that. Maybe that could be in the works. I won't have to shave too much, Yeah. That could be one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have the body frame for it. So.
So now we're going to go to the two segments we're going to have on every show. We weren't able to have one from last show because it was our first interview. But the first segment we're going to do is called Over the Top Rope, where we will have the person from the previous interview, which episode 1 was Ethan Case. They'll submit a question to ask for the person that's on their next episode.
Ethan Case.
This question is Ethan Case. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. I talked to him today, and I said, "Hey, I need that question from Mikey tonight."
Yeah.
And he sent me the question, and I said, "Ha ha, I know where you're going with this." He says, "You better have the right answer."
Oh.
It was a dual part question.
Oh no.
Number one, you guys are on the road a lot together. Right?
Yes.
What is your favorite playlist for the road?
Favorite playlist for road, without a doubt. Me and him listen to a lot of 90s music. Like, I have a playlist that's like 80 songs, 90 songs, and it's not just like 90s alternative rock. It's like 90s boy bands, 90s R&B, 90s. So like that's definitely definitely one of our big playlists there. No, I can't say for him because Ethan Case is probably one of the best. God, he's like, oh yeah, look at me. Probably one of the best people to ride with because he does not fall asleep, and that's like that's a huge thing for me because I drive a lot. I'm behind the wheel a lot. He won't fall asleep on you. That dude will be like, I'm good. Just being like, because it's tough, like middle of the night, you're driving and stuff like that. And he'll be the first person to be like, hey, I'll take over. So he's a very good roadie. So I can't say, but usually when people fall asleep, then I turn on, stuff that not everyone might listen to, like maybe a lot of hardcore or metal or pop punk and stuff like that. Something that I can sing along to because that keeps my brain on the road.
You've mentioned some bands on Facebook and other things like that. I had to look them up. There's a few things I wasn't familiar with. But part 2 of the question, and I think you've already touched on it.
Yeah.
He said, "Who is your favorite?"
Oh.
So here it is, Ethan.
Who's my favorite travel partner?
Yeah.
Moment of truth.
It's you, Ethan.
There it is.
He's me and him have a connection that you don't have with everybody. And if I do a Mount Rushmore, Ethan Case,
Nice.
Malachi Matthews. It's funny because Ethan recommended me. He couldn't be on the road with me when he got injured, and me and Ethan call each other like we're road wives. Like we take care of each other on the road. We're always like, no, don't you do that. Like if one of us maybe had a little bit too much to drink, we're like trying to keep each other in line, and it's always funny. He will, when he got injured, he told me, he said, okay, I was like, I need someone to ride with. And he's like, dude, this guy Malachi, just like us. And I'm like, I don't know. He looks weird. I'm just kidding. But no, he had messaged me, and I was like, yeah, I'll pick you up. So I picked him up, and literally like that. We were just like, I can get into this. So Malachi's always been a big one. I've been doing a lot of riding with, hopefully not a lot of people will hear this viral because we hate each other, but Chris Maine, me and Chris ride together a lot, and ride with the Ducks. The Ducks, Timmy Lou and White Mike, if you survive a car ride with them.
That's gonna be an interesting ride.
Oh, it's never a dull moment, and having Timmy Lou, and you guys probably see Timmy Lou and White Mike asleep a lot in the car, and that does happen, but Timmy Lou and White Mike, they're great to have in that backseat. They're great backseat guys. They'll just make you, when everyone's tired, they'll say something outrageous that'll make you laugh. And then Rob does a lot of driving. Rob's Rob's a road warrior, without a doubt. And Lance is always good to have there too. It's just, the cool thing is those are your brothers. It's not, when you watch something like the Ugly Ducklings, or you watch an interaction between me and Ethan Case, that's as genuine as it is, because those are my brothers, and that's who I ride with. That's who, it's funny. One funny story, if Ethan wants a funny story, I'm gonna give him one. We had took a trip, and this was shortly after he got injured, and I convinced him, I was like, hey, ride with me. So we rode, it was me, Ethan, Mike Green, Brandon Short, and Jacob Ryan were in the back seat. So they filled in the back seat. We rode from I rode to Greensboro, picked up Ethan, or is he from Greensville? I don't know.
They'll run together.
Yeah, South Carolina somewhere Ethan was. And I rode there, picked him up, rode from there in the morning to Asheville, picked up 3 guys in Asheville, rode from Asheville to Dayton, Ohio for Rockstar Pro Wrestling, then from Dayton, Ohio to Kingsport, Tennessee for NWA Smoky Mountain, and then rode home. And that was during it was a few months ago when there was that snowstorm that came.
That was New Year's week. I remember because I was in Pigeon Forge.
Right.
Snowstorm.
Yeah, so like it didn't hit here, but like North Carolina area it got rough. So it was funny because when we were up in Ohio driving up there, the roads are clear. But when you get to North Carolina, it's just slick and it's terrible. So it's funny because like we were driving, we just dropped off all the rest of the kids in Asheville, just me and Ethan. We had the Asheville to Greensboro or Greensville, I don't know, South Carolina, wherever you live. And my brain was just like, and I was shutting down. Ethan saw it, he was like, "You good to drive?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm struggling." He's like, "Pull over, I'll take it over." So he pulled over, took it over. It's funny because he gave me the okay, like, "Hey, go to sleep. You know, you driving a lot." So I went to sleep and I just like wake up and like Ethan's like this. Cause it's like the snow and the ice was so bad. And literally I didn't mean to, but he took over literally right before like it got ridiculous. Oh, wow. We're like driving through the mountains and he's doing this all by himself. We get to his house and I wake up like, "You good?" He's like, "Shut up." And just like goes inside. Oh man. Yeah, that was rough. That was definitely a rough drive. Me and Tim Lou got lost in New York. So there's that. We always say it's like Home Alone Lost in New York because it legit was. It was 4 a.m. We had just got done. We were somewhere in New Jersey for Monster Factory. We were leaving New Jersey. We were driving through New York. We figured we'd drive through the night. New York won't be bad. We had to get to Connecticut where our hotel was for a show the next day in Massachusetts. And so we were driving through, and I remember I started like seeing things as I'm driving. I'm like, "Oh God, I need to pull up." And I was like, "Timmy, you mind taking over?" I'm starting to like see doubles. He's like, yeah, no problem. Right when I say that, like it's like on ramp to like through Brooklyn. I'm like, "No!" And it's the worst. And it was just like, because like you look at a GPS and it's like you're supposed to take this exit. Well, there's that one, all the way down. So it's like, you don't know what exit you're taking. We went over George Washington Bridge like 4 freaking times.
Oh, wow.
I ain't gonna lie, and hopefully the New York State Police Department's not watching this. I ran like 5 tolls. Like, there's just tickets out the Union for me probably. Because it's like, we kept circling around. And then we just go through the toll again. There won't be no toll booth attendant. We'd have change. So it's like, oh, okay. It was funny because Rob's biggest pet peeve is make sure that your GPS is set on no tolls. Because Rob's like, "I'm not paying any tolls. So, at 4 a.m, Rob and Lance are asleep in the back seat. Me and Timmy are driving. Rob wakes up just long enough to see we're at a toll. And he looks up and he's like, "Why are we at a toll? I said no tolls." And then rolls over and goes back to sleep. It's like, screw us being lost in New York. But it was about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. We get out. We have to be up and on the road by 7:30. We haven't even got to the hotel. So we get to the hotel literally at 6:30. I lay down on the bed till 7:30 and then we check out.
Wow.
Might as well just stay in the lobby.
Yeah.
Dude, no, that bed was so comfortable for an hour. I didn't even I had my book bag on still. I just laid in the bed and I was like, all right.
Power nap.
Right.
Wow.
So explain the next segment.
So the next segment, as you saw with Ethan Case, and we're going to do with every single guest we have on the show, is called the 10 count. And the 10 count is 10 questions that we essentially can ask anyone. And Nate and I have, 20-something questions total, and we just pull 10.
Okay.
And I'll ask the first 5, and Nate will finish with the last 5, and that will pretty much be our last segment. But at the end, we'll let you plug some stuff.
Okay.
But if anyone wants to, on Facebook, send us questions to add to the 10 count, we can do that for future guests, and we'd be happy to do that. So question number 1, and Mikey, I think you and I have talked about this a little bit, that you're a fan first.
Yes.
You kind of mentioned that earlier. So how did you become a pro wrestling fan? Tell me the onset of that.
It's a crazy story because I don't exactly know a point in time, because I've legit been watching wrestling since I've had my first memories. My earliest memories are definitely I remember the barbershop window incident with Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty. I remember Sid Justice and Hulk Hogan, because when they were in a tag and setting up for the Mania match, I remember Hulk Hogan reaching out for the tag and Sid jumping down off the apron. I was like, no! And Hulk Hogan's like, what are you doing, man? What are you? And he's just selling it like he just got shot in the back, you know? Hulk Hogan's Sergeant Slaughter, I remember had that on VHS. Those were like my earliest moments like that I remember in wrestling, and I remember the way it made me feel, and I just remember it was like seeing TV in HD before HD was a thing, if that makes sense. It's like I could be flipping through the channels so fast, and I could stop because I know that's wrestling. I was like, oh no, that's wrestling, because it's just the way it just drew you in, and it's like the way it made me feel. It's like there was nothing else. And I mean, I'm a fan of sports, video games, music. Still, like to this day, there's nothing that makes me feel like even when I overhear someone say the word wrestling, I'm like, what? You want to talk about it? Let's talk for an hour and a half. You know, it's like there's nothing like it. So it's like we said, you know, you're always a fan first, and there is plenty of guys that are in this, you know, they come from different avenues and don't have, you know, never watched wrestling as a kid, and they're still very good, you know, wrestlers. I mean, one of the biggest ones for me is Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is insanely, like, the matches that dude has had is insane, and he never really watched wrestling as a kid,
right.
But I can't imagine, like, how full my heart feels when I'm in a wrestling ring or at a wrestling venue and talking to people and talking about wrestling. It's like I can talk about it literally forever because I love it that much, and it's like that'll never go away. It's like the moment that goes away, Coach Mikey Gulino goes away because I'm done.
All right. Well, on the rest of these questions, I already know enough about you to know about your love for Hogan. Right? So I'm invoking a no Hogan rule for the rest of these questions.
Okay.
Because some of these I'm going to ask, and I think
It's
Nate's going to ask. You're going to probably throw Hogan out first. Okay. So I want you to think beyond Hogan.
No Hogan.
Hogan's great, but from here out,
it is great.
He is great. So question 2 of the 10 count is: who are your biggest influences? You see why I preface that?
Besides,
oh God, I don't even know that. No, like biggest influences in wrestling. I always enjoyed when I started. I always enjoyed watching early 2000s Triple H, because I legit felt like I don't want to curse. I legit felt like he was a legit POS. Like he played that role so well.
Right.
And it was, and I drew a lot of influence through that. I always liked the characters that felt like they were not so much like the Attitude Era, because everyone talks about the Attitude Era because it's like these characters are so real. Then they forget what the Attitude Era really was, and it was like, yeah, there was a couple of guys that were so real. But you also had like a guy that was a porn star. Like, let's be honest here. Yeah, like they're pushing the envelope, but you know they never really came to having these guys that had that close touch with reality. I wasn't a huge, believe it or not, I wasn't a huge fan until I got into wrestling, and then I started watching a lot of his promos and stuff. Dusty Rhodes is a big influence on a lot of my promos because I think what he talks about represents a lot what the Ducks are. When he's just, you know, here I am, you know, he's kind of has that for the people mentality, but it's like, it's not pushed to the point where you have to believe that he's for you, you know. He's saying, hey, I am one of you. And that's what kind of like the Ducks kind of do, and he's always a big influence on me. As far as like a lot of influences, as far as the managers, I I always thought, like, with Paul Heyman, his facial expressions said so much.
Yeah.
Where it's like, not all the times are your voice is going to be heard. You know, a lot of times you have to tell it just with your eyes. And he's so good at telling stories with his eyes that I feel like, you know, for me, that's, you know, I've had a, like, if anyone comes up to me and says something about the match, that's the person says, dude, your facial expression when that moment happened was insane. Because I learned so much from Paul to tell that story with your eyes, because that means a lot. Like, you turn around and you hit a big move and you're like, that was really cool. But if your eyes are like, oh my, you know, it makes it so much bigger. So, I mean, those are, you make it so tough because I can say Hulk Hogan. But believe it or not, like, Hogan is one of my favorites, but then again, some people say that a lot of my promos sound like him. I don't know. Sorry.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I love a lot of 80s promos. That's where a lot of my influence comes from. And I take the 80s charisma and I bring it into a modern age, because I feel like a lot of 80s promos that look straight in the camera behind a white wall, Saturday, May 23rd, this is, you know, it's like, okay, there's a certain formula, and you want people to come to shows, but it's like, when I tried to take that date and the place and the promotion, throw it in there different times.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm going to kick your butt and don't worry about it because the Sunday after that Saturday show, I mean, you know, it's like you find creative ways to kind of reinvent it and put it in there without it sounding so textbook, you know.
Right.
So you make the 80s charisma, bring it in with this new age that people are trying to create these promos and kind of mesh it all together into one. What's the next one?
Next question.
What we got?
5-year goal. What is your 5-year goal?
Oh God, this is
Like a job interview.
Jeez. That's what I said to my roommate. I said, I'm going to interview like a job interview. I was like, what do I look like, a real person?
My flip flops on.
Yeah. This is what I wear for like my job now, Uber and just driving around. 5-year goal, and we've talked about this actually a lot. As far as me, you know, the Ducks and stuff like that, I think our 5-year goal is just to be more and more successful in a way where my 5-year goal, if I could do this as a living, if I had no, you know, because you're in wrestling, you're so torn because you want to do this all day, every day, but you, like, financially it becomes difficult so you have to do things you don't enjoy, like legit jobs. Right. Not legit jobs, but like legit, like, I'm trying to stay away from the SHOT word, but that's what they're, you know, you call it.
You gotta pay the bills, right?
Yeah, you gotta pay the bills.
Right.
So, unfortunately, that's what you gotta do. So, 5-year goal, make a living doing this, travel the world would be a big thing. I want us to be in Japan, Canada, England, anywhere, Australia. I know I've heard a lot of good things coming from Australia too, and traveling the world would be a great thing. I mean, just traveling up and down the East Coast and making our way out west and stuff like that, and just coming to these shows where people are like, hey, we came to see you guys, is such a humbling experience that to be able to travel the world and have that feeling would be really cool.
Yeah. Okay. So, we've talked about some of the pros and cons of being a manager and some of the other things related to that, being on the road and such. What is one thing that you would change if you had the ability, like your genie in a bottle type thing? You could change one thing about the pro wrestling business. What would that be?
One thing about pro wrestling, I would have to say, like, I wish that what's the right word? Not work ethic. The way people carry themselves in wrestling today was the way people carry themselves in different generations. I'm not saying that they didn't have it right, but I always have this kind of thought in my head that with wrestling in the 80s and some of the 70s and the 80s, we lost so many people too soon. So many guys too soon. And it was, the worst thing was because it was in this generation because their bodies had just had enough. Right. And they tried to clean up, they got clean, and you know, the guys just gone too soon. But I think now in 2017, you walk into a locker room and there's not, you're not seeing drugs or alcohol. You've seen a guy in the corner playing Pokemon, and I mean, it sounds crazy to think that's what a wrestling locker room looks like, but that's what you want to see. You want to see these guys that want to take care of their bodies and want to say, I'm not doing drugs. I want to stay clean because they've seen that path and they've seen what that does to people. Right. Unfortunately, there is still people that are acting like that. But I think now, like, if I were to take anything genie in the bottle scenario, I think we would have so many different, generations of different types of wrestling if these guys stuck around. If all these guys that are taken from us too soon stuck around. And I hate that the media portrays wrestling as some business that kills people, because it's just like rock and roll. There's so many rock and roll, people from rock and roll that died too soon. Right. And it's like, if they had the mentality that they have now, and how important it is that, these dudes aren't doing drugs and then taking painkillers when they feel, to know that that's that path and where it leads to now. Like, I wish they would have known then, because I feel like we had way more different influences in wrestling. We had way more guys that probably still do. Can you imagine Eddie Guerrero in 2017? Can you that dude would still be going? And the worst thing was, if I'm not mistaken, now I don't know 100%, but he had been cleaned up, but it was just too late, Yeah. And then that's what sucks. You want all these guys to stick around, and you watch. My first experience in wrestling, it's like I didn't know what to experience. All I knew was like what I watched on TV is like all these guys, this guy's busted for drugs, alcohol, this and that. So you walk in a wrestling locker room, you're thinking like, oh God, this would be like ECW circa like '99, but you walk in the locker room and that you see a genuine group of people that are trying to take care of themselves, and it's like that's a really awesome thing to see compared to what you've heard, from the 70s and 80s. And so everyone jokes around it. Everyone's like, oh, party lifestyle, Ric Flair, style and profile. But like, bottom line is like, there has to be an off switch. And I think in the 70s, 80s, unfortunately, there wasn't,
Yeah. All right, last question for my half of the 10 count.
Yeah.
Remember you can't.
Yeah, gotcha. I've been trying.
You could manage anybody, dead or alive. One wrestler, who would it be?
I had it. I've heard this. I've had this question before, and unfortunately, it did have Hogan in it. So I got one person, dead or alive. I really have to think about this. I would, dude,
we tried your hands with the no Hogan rule, didn't we?
I would think just because of my personality, I feel like we could do a lot of really awesome things. Like WCW, Chris Jericho. Yeah. I think me and him could do a lot of, him as the sleazy heel and me being sleazy also with him. I think that would be really cool. ECW would always be a lot of fun. I think I would I would like to be involved in like BWO would always be like, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of like different things that I think I could fit in with, but also
could you picture like Mikey Gulino character with the triple threat with Shane Douglas and Dean Malenko and Benoit?
It's like I would love that, but the same was like I never seen my manager character like as suit and tie wearing. Like I even wore the jacket with the Mikey Gulino, and I felt like it was like this, you know, like. So I'm trying to think of like bizarre. I think the Oddities would be cool, even though like I'm not really a big ICP fan, but I think that group could have. I mean, yeah, it was just like a group of like weirdos, whatever. But I'm like, you know, I think those would be a lot of fun. I would like to maybe like a late '80s, early '90s Shawn Michaels, like with the mullet. I think that would be. Oh, that would be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I think like if I were to do anything like past or present as far as managing, I think all the sleazy bad guys would always be like a lot of fun. I would have loved to do like Triple H Shawn Michaels DX, the original DX. Like that would have been like if I was the Rick Rude in that situation, that would have been fun. I wouldn't have been able to keep. I don't know how he kept a straight face through that whole thing. He just sat back with the briefcase, and was like. I don't know how you did it, man. Oh.
So now we're on to my half, 6 through 10 of the 10 count. Not Hulk Hogan, but kind of what we've done with you tonight. If you could sit down with one manager, dead or alive, for 2 hours, just kind of pick their brain, ask them questions, that kind of thing, who would that be? Dead or alive?
It's got to be Bobby the Brain Heenan. Pick their brain.
That's what you did there.
I remember so much of him as a kid and just watching him now, like just watching all of his old tapes now. And the best story I can describe this is we were talking, me and Antron were talking at Flatline about like this, a manager spot where he's like, you gotta do like the Bobby Brain Heenan, man. He would reach into his pocket, right? He'd reach into his pocket, fiddle around in his pocket towards the crowd, right? The crowd like, hey, blah, blah. And he'd be like, shut up. And he'd reach in his pocket. Then when the guy would get up on his feet, turn around, no, I don't have anything. And he would empty out his pockets. He would legit not have anything. And the crowd would hate that so much because they thought he had something in his pocket. And that's how...
They're invested.
That's how smart he is to that point where it's just like, you don't even have to have anything in your pocket. Just to act like you have something in your pocket makes it so much bigger. He was one of the first to, like you said before, not afraid to make him look like a goofball, and that's a big thing, not afraid to look like an idiot if it's entertaining, you're doing your job, I would definitely like to pick his brain without a doubt. Cornette, if he wasn't so bitter, would have been fun. It's always tough because I feel like me and Cornette would just get in an argument or something like that. Like, no, I like you.
I'm on your side.
Just let's keep it over in the manager aspect. I don't need Booker Cornette. I need manager Cornette. He was very sleazy. Yeah, those two. I think I would stick with that.
Good picks. Now, you talked a little bit about traveling up in Jersey and New York and Connecticut and whatnot, but so what's the longest distance you have driven to work in a show?
I think it was our trips to Jersey that we did. I can't remember. It was South Jersey, so it's like 10 hours. I think honestly the trip that we're doing this weekend is probably gonna be the longest one. So we got leave from Augusta Saturday morning, Kingsport, Tennessee for NWA Smoky Mountain, then drive around Augusta down the coast to Gainesville, Florida for Fest Wrestling. So I think collectively that's gonna be our longest drive. Now I can't really talk about this because I slept the whole way, but Andover, Massachusetts. We drove from Andover, Massachusetts to High Points, North Carolina. That's where. Yeah, that's where Lance was. So yeah, we drove. They drove 12 hours through the night. So we left there like 6 o'clock, and that evening got home at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, granted, I drove most of the way up there. They'll never mention that. They're like, "Oh, Mikey always sleeps." Yeah, I said, "Hey, you guys did the drive?" They said, "Yeah." I took a NyQuil. I was down in the back seat. So that's the longest drive I've been in. But drive I drove like 8 hours by myself. Well, not by myself, but in a car full of sleeping people.
Not by yourself.
Yeah. What was it? West Virginia. It was me, Anthony Henry, Ken Lee, and Amber. And all three of them, fine the whole way up. Let's rock and roll. Let's have a good time. Way back, we got food and all of them knocked out on me. I'm like, believe it or not, the one that stayed up the longest was Amber. Amber was like behind me. She's like, "You good, Mikey?" I mean, they're the sweetest people in the world, but she definitely eventually clocked down on me too. But it's always fun.
So speaking of driving, I have a couple of non-wrestling related questions for you.
Nope, I'm out.
So what was your first car?
Ooh. So my very first car never left the driveway, so I'm not going to count that. But the first car I drove was a 1991 Dodge. Was it a Dodge Spirit? Yeah, Dodge Spirit. I got it for $100. $100. The back right window was the only window that rolled down. The key was stuck in the ignition and it overheated all the time.
Oh.
But I got it for $100. Lasted 2.5 years.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, money's worth
It was a white, like, it was literally just like, it looked like it was just made of like, just straight metal. Like it was just like a brick of metal. And, cause I got in an accident with it, with one of those, it was like what was it, the Fit? Is it a Dodge Fit or something like that?
It's a Honda Fit.
A Honda Fit. I got in an accident with one of those, and like I was coming around, and they clipped me. My headlight just like moved a little bit. That car, the front axle broken in half. That was a beast. But just one day, on the road, we're at a stoplight, and it starts smoking. I think it's overheating, and all of a sudden, I see flames shoot on the side of the light. And I'm like, it's like, my car's full of like, my friends were like, "Run, put it in park." We're Columbia Road and Washington Road hit. That's where I had that light. And legit had a Viking funeral and watched my car go up in flames on Columbia Road till the fire truck came, put it out, and it was like, it looked like a charred marshmallow by the time. And we just like saluted and then just carried it away and never saw it again.
Wow.
That's I figured there'd be a story there somewhere. That's good.
It's an emotional story.
I'm sure. So, have you played any other sports? I know you're a kickball guy.
Yes. Been playing kickball in Augusta Sports League for like 5 years. Played soccer a little bit when I was a kid. Played street hockey. There was really never like a hockey league that I was. We used to live up in Pennsylvania. We'd wait for the roads to get iced over, and we'd put our goals out there and literally play ice hockey with our shoes.
Oh, wow.
And just skate on our shoes. Like we didn't have skates, Mm-hmm. Played baseball a little bit. I'm really bad at baseball. I have really bad hand-eye coordination. So, feet-eye coordination. I'm good at that, but basketball was never a strong point for me. I mean, you can see me shoot like a 3-year dunk in. Those are like here and there sports. I like watching. Everyone asks if I ever played football. I never played football. Like played like street football and stuff like that. Like, you never played football in high school?
I get that a lot too.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm lucky if I ever went to high school and played football. I did skateboard for like 8 years when I was younger. That's probably why I have bad knees and stuff like that. try to kick flip at 250 pounds.
Wow.
So you have the rad bod,
Yes.
as I do, and I got the
Yeah, look at that.
So
that was a good one too.
That's a good one, custom made.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it was just for me.
Oh, it was definitely that. I put it because I feel like some of them I was like, dang it.
And it was red right here on that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Big splotch right there.
Ooh. Is it glow in the dark too? Is that one the glow in the dark?
Yeah, it's right in the dark. to be
I
honest.
think that orange goes in there. You got to sit in the light for a while.
Okay, I'll try that. I'll try that later. So to maintain the rad bod, I'm a big eater and I enjoy lots of different kind of foods. What is your favorite meal?
You know, through all of them, I'm going to have to say I'm a big like boneless chicken fingers or like boneless wings. Like I'm big on that Zaxby's wings and things.
Mhm.
I mean, this is like the ideal. Like I'm looking at it right now. Zaxby's wings and things, the 5-piece. So you get the 5-piece. You get the fingers tongue torched.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get the boneless wings, hot honey mustard.
Okay.
No coleslaw. No, I'm sorry. The coleslaw comes with the chicken fingers. Okay, so it doesn't come with coleslaw. You get an extra piece of toast, all ranch. You see
Good
that? All ranch. Don't mess around with that Zax sauce stuff. You know, it just ruin your meal. And then you make the sandwich with
Okay.
something like that.
Wow.
That Wingstop is a big one for me too. I love Wingstop. They're boneless wings.
You a lemon pepper guy?
I see. I feel like I'm cheating myself when I get a lemon pepper because it's not like they're not like sauced
Not
up.
sauced, yeah.
Like you know, like the garlic parmesan ones are really good too. Have you had those?
I haven't.
Oh. See, that's another one that's like, oh, I'm cheating myself, but they're so good. I do like, I usually do the sweet and spicy, so I'll do like a teriyaki or a barbecue, and then do like a spicy one. Baldino's, that's a big one for me too.
Love some Baldinos.
The pizza roll, have you had the pepperoni rolls?
I haven't. No. I always go with the American Army, the big
Oh.
double meat.
I'll say this, okay, so they have pepperoni rolls. It's literally like a sausage bun with mozzarella cheese and pepperonis and like a little bit of marinara in it. So they sell them for like 3 for $1.50, right? But the thing is, if you come in the day after, they sell their older rolls for like a bag of like 8 of them for like 50 cents.
Sweet.
And they say they'll sell their old bread because they make the bread fresh.
Right.
So if you're not like, you don't care if the bread's like a little bit, it's not like stale.
Right.
But like I just figured like if I was ever like short on some cash, like
Yeah.
Baldino's, like, hey, give me all your old bread, here you go. Yeah, Baldino's, Zaxby's, Wingstop. That's
What
fine.
about cookout? You mentioned cookout.
See the thing, like I feel like I talk about cookout so much, but I eat cookout way too much, probably, yeah.
It's good value. I mean, what, $5?
That's what I'm
Or-
saying.
What you get for the
I'm saying like we could have a show and it's just like where's the closest cookout because they're everywhere now.
Yeah.
For a while, like when I first went to cookout, it was one in Wilmington, North Carolina, and it was I was on tour with my friend's band, and we went to that one. I was like, what is this magical place? You get like 4 items for $5. What is this? You know.
Right.
So when they built one here, I was like, oh my God. Literally, I had one for the longest time. There was a cookout by my house.
Is that the black and white one?
At the time, it was I was living off of Jimmy Dice, the one off of Jimmy Dice.
Okay.
And then the Walton Way one was the one right by my girlfriend's house. And then coincidentally, it was also where I worked. I worked down at MCG. So like literally, I had cookout like all the time. But then Malachi's more of a cookout fiend than I am. Like it's like the dude lives in Columbia. They have a cookout there. It don't matter. Like we'll be leaving like a building anywhere we're at a show. It's like, can we please go to cookout? And I was like, dude, how many times a day do you need cookout? But it's like I can't complain because I'm like, yes, we're going to cookout. And we're like, we'll wait in line for like an hour and a half. Rob and Lance are calling me like, where are you at? But still at cookout. We'll be there soon. But cookout's always a big thing. I'm a McDonald's fan too, man. I think McDonald's is underrated.
That's my son's favorite. He's in breakfast foods and stuff. So
Let's get a timeout. It's flashing.
Uh-oh.
Let me see what's going on.
Uh-oh.
It just started right after the cookout stuff. So.
we should wrap up real quick just in case. Go ahead and do your plugs.
Okay.
We got 4 minutes. That's
Four
what
minutes. Oh, perfect.
4 minutes.
All right, upcoming events, social media.
Okay.
That was the last-
wait, you got the last one?
That was it.
Yeah.
Okay,
We had
let's
to
do
work
this. Okay, so we got social media, Facebook, the Ugly Ducklings Facebook. We have Mikey Gulino, Brian, and Rob. I won't say their last names. You can find them. You can find us all on Facebook. Instagram. We are 3 Mother Duckers on Instagram. It's Coach Mikey on Instagram. Rob and Lance aren't very prominent on, is that the word, prominent? Prominent?
Active.
Active on Instagram. Lance does have one. It's very long, I can't remember it. But Twitter is our big thing. 3 Mother Duckers on Twitter. Lance Lube. I'm Rob Killjoy. It's Coach Mikey on Twitter. You guys can catch us out. Check all of our online stuff. We will be releasing new t-shirts and new merchandise very soon. Catch us at PWX, PCW very soon.
Yes.
Warzone Wrestling, Rockstar Pro, NWA Smoky Mountain, West Virginia Championship Wrestling. And we're all over the place. All the grilled cheeses. That's it.
Yeah. Viral Pro Wrestling.
Yes!
June 10th, we're actually
Yes!
sponsoring that show.
Yes!
We're glad to see you guys.
Yeah,
actually
we'll be at Viral Pro Wrestling. The Ugly Ducklings making their way down to Georgia.
Yes.
So that will be really fun.
We've been waiting on that.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to drive like 20 minutes and get to see you guys. So.
Do you want to promote Uber and Lyft?
Yeah, sure.
Let's you.
I don't know my promo codes. That's what I do for a living, Uber and Lyft. So if you guys are in the Augusta area, message me. You want to ride? Let me know. I'm actually about to go to work like after this. I'm just going the road. Got that buzz going. And, yeah, so yeah, Uber and Lyft. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about wrestling. So.
All right, everybody, hang tight right there. We're gonna wrap this up. Nate, you got anything else?
We're good. We got everything else in.
What?
I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know what it is.
This was not
The
discussed.
order's still going.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have a rad bod meal real quick.
Oh,
Yeah,
what
We got
is?
small cakes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Everybody, go to Facebook, check out Suplexes and Microphones. We got Mikey here. We got another interview coming up, which we got to get a question from Mikey for our next.
Oh.
So we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks for watching.
My God.